What's up, you guys? Today we are doing a wedding film breakdown, and we are really excited because we are getting to do it at the Nickelodeon Theater here in Columbia. This is a theater that we've been to a lot, especially like being in college, being media arts majors. This is just such a cool theater, and if you've never watched a movie here, you need to come watch a movie at the Nick because it's just the best.
If you're new here, our wedding film breakdowns are where we discuss one of our wedding films and talk about the different creative decisions that went into it and why we chose certain music, speeches, and things like that to just really create a wedding film that feels like it truly reflects the couple. And this wedding film is super special. It's Ginny and Lee's that took place at the Colleton River Club in Bluffton, South Carolina. And it's also being featured on Style Me Pretty this week. I'm super excited about that. We will try to link that feature in the description, as well as tag all of the amazing vendors that took part in this wedding.
Jenny, the day has finally come, and I can honestly say I've never been more sure of anything in my entire life.
So obviously we have to start off talking about their intro. Their intro begins with the rehearsal dinner, which is only fitting because the rehearsal dinner begins the entire weekend. It sets the tone for the entire weekend. It was so insanely beautiful. The sunset was gorgeous, the lighting was perfect, the colors just popped.
Yeah, the rehearsal dinner, like what I loved so much about that intro was it felt very organic for like the environment, what it actually felt like being there. And we really wanted to lean into that because honestly, like it was such a magical kind of like part of their wedding.
But do you remember that girl I met when I studied abroad that I said I was kind of smitten with? And we were like, yeah, why? And he said, well, she lives in my apartment complex.
Liz, their friend, is honestly iconic throughout this wedding film because she has such a natural narrator voice. It's like that's what she was born to do. Yeah. And this story that she tells about the beginning of their relationship really adds to almost this feeling of suspense, and it really builds the anticipation for how is the rest of the story going to unfold.
Complex. I know this is crazy, but I think I want to marry that girl.
I also love the shot where Lee runs up to Ginny on the dock. Yeah, I kind of like saw him coming, and I saw Ginny walking down the dock, so I decided to like just roll that. And you know, I look over and like Sarah's catching them from the other side, so I was like really excited to see how those two were gonna pair, and that just creates a really great scene because those are just one of those unplanned moments that like you weren't expecting for it to happen, and it was just awesome.
We're not always filming at the same time, the same exact moment, and so it was really cool that we both had that shot happening from two different perspectives, two different lenses. And like I think in the actual camera audio, you hear Andrew after that talk to the photographer and say,
that was a great moment. I know.
It was just such a cool moment to include in the film.
Yeah.
But does she want to marry you? You know?
Too much fun. Too much when your body's swaying. Too late, too low, it's all over for me.
We joke all the time about how we knew each other in Spain, but nothing ever really happened. 5 years pass, and hundreds of life changes later, and we somehow find ourselves in the exact same place at the exact right time.
Now that we're sort of moving out of the rehearsal dinner portion of the film, we're starting to set the tone for who Ginny and Lee are as individuals.
Yeah, and you know, part of what we like to do with our wedding films is we like to really, you know, invest time to build these characters. Like we really do see our couples as characters in a film, and getting to really dive into their personalities and who they are is like, I don't know, I think that it just makes you fall in love with them as characters.
Absolutely.
And survived the literal running of the bulls in Spain.
So Ginny's dad's entrance into the film with the beginning of his first look with Ginny is really important because he is honestly such a character in this film. He's so poetic with his words, even in the first look, as well as his reception speeches that he gives. We love symbolism, analogies, metaphors. We love to play with those things in our film, and he gave us so much of that to include in their film.
Like I just got hit with a snowstorm. Didn't expect it.
Ginny and Lee, you are just as bright as that sun right there. In my eyes, you could melt the Arctic Circle.
Elsa's dad says that he feels like he just got hit with a snowstorm.
Yeah.
In the middle of
Yeah, it was hot outside, so
I love that. He has such a way with words and expressing his emotions.
Things like, if Lee thinks this woman who's supposed to be the woman he's gonna marry is great, but he's the most salt of the earth guy, he's the most compassionate.
So we started the film with this bit of suspense and anticipation to how is the rest of their story going to turn out. Now in this point of the film, we're really building up to that conclusion of who Ginny is and how she's this match for Lee.
Mm-hmm.
I think that fate would have brought the two of them together, but if I'm being honest here, I think this was all kind of schemed up by Ginny's golden boy, Carter. So Carter, you waited for Ginny.
We're gonna stop here because honestly, I feel like so many of our couples recently have told us how their dogs have been the reason that they've met. Like it's been at least 3 or 4 recently, and so like I love this story just because it's just cool that their dogs were kind of the ones that like after they had already known each other for a season in Spain, their dogs were kind of the ones that like brought them back together.
Ginny was born August 4, 1995, in Charlotte.
Now we're moving into this more serious part of the film where the music begins to die down to where you're only really hearing Ginny's dad's speech. And here he goes with just the most poetic, part of his speech where he's talking about Ginny when she was born. And at the same time, you're seeing imagery of these 2 young flower girls walking down the aisle. There's no real music playing, so you're just really sort of absorbing what's being said and what's being shown.
And tough time the last half hour. And instead, she was glowing. It was like she'd come from another place to be with us.
And this part always gives me chills, but like how he talks about the fact that she was glowing, when honestly they're all literally glowing in this sunset light during their reception. And then making the statement that it was like she came from another place to be with them, which chills, absolute chills. And then you jump straight into Lee's brother's message about the story of creation. You're jumping from, it's like she came from this other place, to the story of creation in the Bible, and it is like she came from this other place to be with them.
Yeah, and you're also having her, it's preparing for her walking down the aisle, and this is where we're going into some of that symbolism of like finding and arriving and stuff like that. And honestly, like another one of these situations where like you just can't plan for this stuff, it just happens, but the fact that you're just there filming and observing and catching all this stuff, and like it's all happening. And so when we're able to sit down and get into the edit and there's all these patterns that we're able to pull from and we're using this information, I think that that's just like such a cool thing and just really made this wedding film special, I feel like.
Through sickness and health, I will always remain 54 years. I love you, Jenny Walker.
I love you.
Now we have this romantic, sweet, slightly upbeat song coming in for the beginning of their cocktail hour. And if you notice, the lyrics mention, "He's my salt and sugar," which I thought was a fun tie back to the beginning of the film where Liz references Lee as salt of the earth kind of people.
He's the most salt of the earth guy. He's the most compassionate. He's the sweetest dude I've ever met.
And I just thought that was such a kind of deep and meaningful statement. You don't hear that statement made like too often. Usually when I'm searching for music, if I hear something in the lyrics that's really relevant, I automatically want to try to find a way to use that. We try to think through every aspect of what we're using in the film.
Yeah, and that song too is just like a very classic, like romantic song, and I thought it really fit the environment and the vibe of those moments.
You each are a storybook of great choices. Your great choices of school, work, mostly your choice of friends. As Ginny's grandmother used to say.
So for the entire first part of the film, we're really focused on Ginny and Lee and who they are as people, how they met, all that kind of stuff. But now, after the ceremony, we're really able to spend that time to show them with their friends and their family, and how, you know, they have impacted their friends and family. And I think that just the atmosphere, like the details, the just the entire event, like shout out to Plume Events for this, because I thought that like it was put together so well. It just shows how much thought and intention that Ginny and Lee put into those like friendships and their families. And I really think that like the words and all that kind of stuff just really highlight that from this part of the film.
You'll notice that there is a cake being delivered to each and every table. What we're going to do is count down from 3, and at the same time, along with Ginny and Lee, everyone is going to cut the cake with us. 3.
And the cake cutting, that was our first time experiencing that kind of cake cutting, where Ginny and Lee had a cake delivered to each table, so all of their guests could cut the cake along with them, which is just such another testament to who they are as people. So as we really have this build to the end of their wedding film, I begin weaving together the times that they practiced their first dance earlier in the day with their actual first dance. And I love to do that when that does take place on the wedding day, when the couple does decide to practice their first dance earlier in the day. And honestly, like I feel like it's a good kind of representation too of the different stages in their life that led to this wedding day, led to this moment of the beginning of their marriage.
All the good things have been said, and I could go back and film all.
So I think Lee's dad has the majority of our reaction at this point in the film, because it's just kind of a moment of feeling the emotions of like love for, you know, his son and his new daughter-in-law. And it's just like, I don't know, it was one of those things that we wanted to add in there because it just felt like such a good transition over into the like last bit of celebration of their like reception, because it really did feel like, especially with their story and all that kind of stuff, it's just like, wow, there's so many emotions that like we feel in this moment. And I just love like Lee getting up and like giving his dad like a hug and kind of like just embracing that moment. And when Sarah showed me that for the first time that she had put that together, I was just like, that was such a needed part in that film, and it's one of my favorites.
And lastly, at the end of their film, we crank up the vibes for the last bit of dancing and their exit, and we pay a fun little tribute to their teaser. So we use the song that we used in their teaser for this final part of the wedding film.
So we hope that you enjoyed watching this wedding film breakdown just as much as we enjoyed making it, because I think that they just give you a lot of insight into our thought processes and all that kind of stuff. And we have more wedding film breakdowns that we've done already if you want to go back and check those out if you hadn't watched them yet. But yeah, always excited about doing these, and we hope that you enjoyed as much as we enjoyed making it.
Yeah, thank you for watching.